2026. We are going to get started on our reads for today. But before we get started, as always, the list now is open. As always, it is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Binks in my Lio, please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps. First is pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private reads, and you can book private reads on my site. We're also doing 2 giveaways today. Our first reading giveaway is going to be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes. So make sure you're tapping that screen. We will get to 50K in no time. Prior to beginning our reads today, I will be giving a brief recap on what we've been seeing in the cards over the last few days. If you would like to find that full reading, you can find it over on the place where we keep the videos. You can find it over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find it over on my stack. And you can also find it as a podcast over on Spot. But before we get started today, first and foremost, most important question, how are we doing today? Scale of 1 to 10. There are no wrong answers. I was going to say that there are no wrong answers. There's a couple of things that we want to pay attention to right now. There's a couple of things we want to pay attention right now with this energy. And I want to talk a little bit about what we've potentially been experiencing over the last couple of days. You might have noticed something a little different. And one of the things that we're potentially seeing right now that may be creating a little bit of feeling of difference has to do with the fact that we are starting off Gemini season right now with Leo moon energy. Now, there's something important to pay attention to as it relates to Gemini energy and Leo moon energy. And before we get into it, we have to work through what we like. We have to have a conversation about Leo moon. Okay. Because the thing you have to understand, and I often kind of talk about this, Leo moon can sometimes feel, what's the best way to describe it? It sometimes can feel vulnerable, but at the same time as feeling vulnerable, it's working through the vulnerability required to be vulnerable. It's working through the observation of what it means to be seen, felt, heard, experienced. And we often notice, there's certain moon placements that can sometimes bring up a little bit more difficulty. Like we talk about, like you'll typically notice that we talk about that a lot in relationality to Capricorn moon placements. But I feel like there's something that really needs to be talked about as it relates to Leo moon as well. Because the one thing you have to recognize is often Leo energy is often represented by the sun, right? It's working through the observation of something that's very clear. And then when you've got the moon that often works into the space of trying to effectively, like, it's working through the fact that the moon by its very nature has a tendency of not necessarily being right as fully seen. And I always think it's really beautiful when we think about the fact that when we observe the moon is like, observing the moon is a journey of navigating phases. So we sometimes can experience this when we've got the moon in Leo, because it can often bring either anxiety in relationality to the energy that you need to bring to things, or simultaneously working through the frustration of what we ourselves cannot see or predicate upon, right? And the thing about it is, and I want to describe the word I have for this energy right now, like the two words that feel very at home in this energy is glaringly obvious, if that makes sense. And the reason I talk about um like glare or what feels obvious is and you'll kind of notice this when we identify a vulnerability, it becomes our point of strength, right? And that doesn't mean, right? That doesn't mean that we lean into our vulnerabilities, but we do the hard work in terms of trying to acknowledge what it is that we are not strong in, because when we are able to do that, then the possibility or the opportunity to become strong, right, allows the context by which things can effectively grow in terms of our own capacity. However, when that can happen, right, the space where that can't happen is when we effectively refuse, like when we refuse to see things within ourselves. And this is why we talk about a healthy egoic journey is one that we often work through, like it's working through the egoic state. It's messy territory. It can feel very clumsy. It can feel very awkward. But that's how we effectively get better in terms of understanding ourselves, because when we understand ourselves, then it allows the capacity by which we can understand those around us with an even deeper sense of integrity. And, one of the things that you might have noticed or felt, we've also got in the process of all of this right now, we're in Gemini season, right? And at the same time that we moved into Gemini season, a lot of planets shifted, right? It feels very apropos to a certain extent because we had a lot of planets that were in Mars that are now kind of moving or making their transit fully out of Aries, right? They're moving out of Aries. And we also see that it's beautiful because, to a certain extent, I like to describe Gemini energy as like the height of pragmatism. It's the ability to effectively identify and recognize all the different ways that one can effectively do something. So, this is energy for dynamic approaches to things. This is energy for thinking outside of the box. This is energy for, I want to say that there's even something to be said about this being wonderful energy for delightful spontaneity. But what may feel more rigorous is at the same time that we're going through a lot of that energy, there could be a lot of work that we ourselves are facilitating or seeing as it relates to the identification or the source of energetic frustration, either within the self, right? Like either the work that we're doing inside the self or situations and circumstances that lie beyond the purview of the self. So if you're experiencing that right now, I want you to make sure, and like I kind of like this because and I'm sure you've heard me say this before. I feel like whenever we've got some Leo energy on something, like this is the hard part. Like this is the hard part with Leo energy, which is Leo energy always wants to say, like, have you tried putting a little compassion on it? Right. And if me even saying that makes you feel like frustrated, then I want you to recognize that that's exactly why you need to allow for some compassion in, either compassion for the self, either compassion for those around you, right? Because it's the identification point that our passion, right? I like to kind of identify this when we communicate on our passion, we become compassionate, which is the identification point in being able to speak upon something, but not just speak upon something, but being able to articulate and identify why something feels so energetically important. Now, this is having a big impact because we're also seeing at the same time that a lot of this is occurring. we see that there are a lot of energetic shifts that are potentially happening right now, particularly and especially in the realm of relationships. Now, one of the things that we potentially saw was occurring was for a lot of the energy that is currently in solitude or working through the process of solitude, we see that there's potentially what we're effectively experiencing right now is the shift out. We're experiencing the shift out of world relationships. And again, I'm still trying to get a handle on what I'm seeing there, but I got to admit, I feel like it feels very strongly like we're moving out of world partnerships into strength partnerships. And that makes a lot of sense given a lot of the energy that we're seeing currently in relationality to this shift, and also in relationality to the beginning and end of this most recent energetic cycle, specifically due to the fact that when we first began working through a lot of the lessons that we saw were happening during the period that we were identifying as the world relationships, those effectively started, like I started reading for them right around the time of Capricorn new moon in Capricorn season. So we got the Capricorn new moon in Capricorn season that occurred. And so it's very apropos that we see that the transformational point of that recent energetic cycle is effectively coming through when we're experiencing right after, on the heels of that Taurus new moon in Taurus season, because it's the identification of finding new ground, right? It's working into it's working into the work it takes to find surer footing. And it's interesting too, because you'll recall that when we first when we were first working through a lot of that new moon in Capricorn energy, a lot of the work that we identified there was working into the context of being able to understand that incredible things can happen, not just in the context of our consistency, but also in the context of our force of effort, right? There's something very significant about that. And the fact that we see a lot of similarity between a Capricorn new moon in Capricorn season and a Taurus new moon in Taurus season, what do we effectively see that's occurring in those two experiences? It's observing and understanding the quality and condition in terms of allowing the sense of the present to build into the sense of presence, right? Because you have to understand that those with Capricorn placements have this beautiful capacity to concentrate or stay focused on the present, while those with Taurus placements have a beautiful ability of building into presence, right? The observation or the aura by which we effectively work towards things. So the thing about that, and I like to point this out, right? It's a journey of understanding that we have got good days and we've got bad days. We've got days by which we feel very fully embodied in the experience by which we're navigating, and then we got some days that we feel somewhat out of sorts. But the thing you have to understand is the inclination by which we put effort towards things allows for the observation of unconditional effort. And the thing about and that's what's beautiful about it. When you build into unconditional effort, the space, that what you effectively gain from those experiences is a deeper sense of strength. And it's the strength that you find is effectively the strength by which you recognize what it is that you yourself are energetically able to effectively navigate and maintain. So we see that for a lot of the energy that's happening right now, right? and I want to point this out, you might be feeling like a little bit of vacillation there. You may be feeling or working through a bit of energetic frustration, but the context by which you're effectively able to build resolve, right, helps to effectively, right, when you build that sense of perpetual resolve, it effectively helps to energetically, it's like it dissolves the self-doubt, it dissolves the experience by which one is able to question the self, because it's the working into, right, and this is what's important about it, right, resolve. We don't wait for resolve, we don't wait for confidence, we don't wait for energetic courage. It's the ability by which we identify and recognize what it is that we're trying to do, that allows us to be able to do it as effectively as we can. Now, this is having a different impact depending on the frequency cycles, because for a lot of the energy that is in solitude, what we've effectively been seeing that's been happening right now is a lot of, I would be saying that a lot of the energy right now that we're seeing in solitude is probably holding a deep sense of energetic um, pride, as it were, on their own transformational journey. The ability to recognize and identify the transformations that are occurring that allow one to be able to identify and recognize the direction that one is able to effectively maintain and go. Now, it's not to say that everything for a lot of the energy in solitude right now is smooth sailing. It could even be working through a lot of frustration built upon and based upon how um, and it's interesting too, because I almost feel like what I'm seeing right now for some energy and solitude is the understanding and the discovery of the ease that they themselves are able to bring into circumstances or situations. It's reaffirming and amplifying to that energy what what they themselves are able to articulate and work through more. There's like it's a lot of that, it's a lot of that commitment or focus that we're seeing that is effectively allowing for a lot of that energy to be able to take different approaches on their healing journey. And for some of these relationships that are coming together right now, I keep on seeing there's something really beautiful about mutual potentiality, the observation and the recognition of what they're trying to achieve, but not just what they're trying to achieve. And this is what's so healing about these relationships that are coming together at this time. And this is why it feels like they're moving into strength relationships, because they're built upon, this isn't a situation by which they're coming together and they're seeing and identifying like latent potential in each other, right? They're articulating with joy and eagerness about the shared potentiality, about the opportunity or the experience that lies ahead, and being able to navigate that with a sense of commitment and determination, and almost potentially giving each other courage along the way. Now, this brings us to the relationships that are moving deeper into divine union right now. And those were specifically, right, those were specifically the world partnerships that we talked about. Now, these world partnerships, one of the things I want to identify that's potentially happening there is there's a lot of observation that's occurring as it relates to being able to find, and again, welcome to Gemini season, finding new routines, finding new normality, the ability of effectively working into an energetic flow state. Because for some of these relationships, right? And I want to say, like, to a certain extent, even though we see that we're in Gemini season, they might still be working through a lot of Taurus lessons right now, because it's the understanding of what it takes to find an energetic groove, right? It might not necessarily feel entirely smooth, but their commitment in working through smoother approaches is what's bringing a lot of that smoothness to bear, because it's the observation by which the energy is aware of what it is that they are working upon. So it's interesting, because you'll remember that the energy that was deep within divine union was working through a little bit of argumentation and almost augmenting for it. And now we see that a lot of those relationships that are moving deeper into divine union right now, like they're like working through the frustration with a sense of patience and determination. Now, this brings us to the energy that is deep within divine union, and these are effectively the moon relationships. Now, the temperance partnerships were effectively coming together, as we mentioned, between the time of that Capricorn, that Taurus new moon energy and Taurus season, leading into the Capricorn new moon energy and Capricorn season. The moon relationships were coming together between the time of the Capricorn new moon that we experienced in January, leading into the Uranus that first went retrograde earlier in September. Now, these relationships we see are effectively coming into partnership with, and I want to describe this. There's a lot of that mutual commitment as it relates to plans ahead. And I think it's interesting too, because it's almost like I'm reading into the space by which they're planning, but they're planning, it's like they're making plans in such a way by which they have expectations, but it's like the plans that they're setting for themselves don't necessarily feel like they're energetically changing anything so much as they're solidifying, right? So it's interesting too, because I feel like what we effectively see that's happening for some of those moon relationships is they're changing they're changing their relationship to plans to a certain extent. And the reason we see that they're changing their relationship to plans to a certain extent has to do with the observation or the commitment of the fact that they feel like, I just keep on getting like the fact that they found that mutual support, or that stabilization that is allowing them to be able to observe and build into things with a deeper sense of energetic strength and stabilization. So there's something about that. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those moon relationships are almost experiencing or feeling some kind of boost in confidence and relationality to what they're doing, for the purpose and the understanding of the fact that they're finding a renewed sense of confidence for themselves, maintained and discovered in those healthy connections. Now, that is where we find all of the energy prior to getting today's daily collective read. But if you'd like to find that full reading, you can find it over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find it over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find it as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church and over on my stack. I would also encourage you to head over to my stack to to find out more about our tarot class, which is happening tonight. In a few hours, we are going to be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the court cards in the Pentacle suit. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, you still have time to do so. All you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Class Archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've studied prior to beginning the next class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to, as a monthly subscriber, over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Class Archive, and the opportunity of having a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. One of the things I tried to do with these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events, as well as my online live schedule and my mystic meditation articles, which will give you updates on everything we've been seeing energetically in the cards. I just wrote one recently on navigating this new moon energy, which probably felt like a full moon. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or biweekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my students that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute reads, again, weekly or biweekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey at a discount, as well as dream interpretation readings, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. Now, if you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or biweekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. But let me know in the comments how this energy is impacting you personally, because it is going to hit everybody just a little bit differently. That said, we are going to get started on today's readings shortly. We are going to be prioritizing personals and one cards due to the limited time that we have today. I am going to take a few minutes to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading, but if you would like to get on the list for today, the list, as always, is open. As always, it is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Binks in my bio. Please keep in mind, there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. Just bear with me one moment, friends, as I read over the comments that came through. We're also doing, if you are on the hold list and would like to be added back to the list, I just need to know the date that you are added to the list. I'll be happy to add you back as well. And for anybody who's joining us over on the place where we keep the videos, you can also get on the list via my tree that has Binks in it in my bio. Your paid subscription, your paid membership there entitle you to the same benefits that I've mentioned for those who are paid members, which means you'll have the discounted rate when you pay for the reading, as well as the opportunity of receiving a free card each day when we do the one cards for our super fans and our paid members. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing today? Audrey, I'm happy to read for you on that. If you'd like to get on the list is open. How you doing today, Dinosaur? And bear with me one moment. Excellent. Excellent. How are you doing today, Avatar? I got you. You said the 18th. One moment, please. Let me just add you to the list. You will be the 3rd person read for today, Avatar. I've got you. Excellent. And if anybody else wants to get on the list right now, you will be the 4th person read for. How are you doing as well, Kirk? Good to see you today. And welcome, Jamar. And thank you, Jim, for the follow. I appreciate you. How are you doing, Avana? Thank you for those heart me's, guys. Please remember to recharge your heart me's if you would like an animal oracle card on top of your one card. How you doing today, dear? Excellent. How you doing today, 810? Guys, just a reminder, don't make sure not to message anyone who's making false promises in terms of what you'll receive if you private message them. Please make sure that you're staying safe out there. And thank you for sharing the live, 810. Always appreciate when you guys share the live. Martha, thank you for the follow as well from Arkansas. And good first time here. Excellent. How you doing today, Nikki? Good to see you, Liv. Hi there, Per. Thank you for confirming that you're dealing with that right now, Liv. Sending you so much support on your journey. You summoned Per. I like it. Absolutely. And thank you for sharing the live, Per. Okay. And again, just a reminder, please don't message people asking you to private message them. Remember that that is usually not a safe space to be communicating. Please be safe out there. BB, thank you for the follow. Oh, never will, Evox. Right back at you, dear. Good to see you today. How you been? Hi there, it's Mai. I've got you on the list today. Welcome, Nicole. Good to see you. Excellent. Zola, you're as long as you maintain the as long as you look at the code of conduct in the chat space, in the that's pinned to my profile, you're welcome to communicate in the chat. But if you do deviate from anything in that, I will point. But if you want a reading as well, all you need to do is anything that's based upon cards being pulled in relationality to questions that would require a donation. And thank you so much, Nature's Wonder, for the follow. Alexandra, so good to see you today. And Anita, thank you for reposting. I appreciate you. Sabrina, thank you. Sabirin, apologies. Thank you for sharing the live and thank you for reposting. Thank you, Per, for sharing the live. How you doing today, dear? And Jim, thank you for the follow as well. Excellent. I am going to, can you ask for an extra card that you won? Second gifted on Wednesday. Yeah, did we not? Yeah, hold on a minute. Let me just take a look. Yep, I got you, dear. We can definitely do that. Good memory. Oh, nice. Which deck? The list is open and I've got you on it, Nikki. You wrote a dream down. Wonderful. Just a reminder, friends, if you have a dream that you would like interpreted, you can include it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber only disco channel in the appropriate channel. You're so welcome, Avana. I have zero dreams. The dog is blocking. Sending you so much support on that journey, dear. Excellent. All right. All right. So we are going to get started on personal readings. We are doing a reverse live today. So anybody who would like to get on the list, we're going to be prioritizing reads. If we have time, once we move through the personal readings, we will be doing a collective, but we have to be time sensitive because we've got tarot class tonight. So just a reminder, friends, if you would like to become a member of the stack to join the tarot class, you're still welcome to do so. If you message me directly from this live, and you're not a member yet, I can send you a special coupon code to that stack subscription. And if you become a super fan, you'll have access to our subscriber only disco channel. And in the disco channel, in the perks section, you will find a coupon code that will also give you a subscription coupon to that class tonight. I know I'm very much looking forward to it. And again, just a reminder, if you have questions related to the Pentacle suit or the court cards in the Pentacle suit, just go ahead and throw them in the chat or throw them in the disco. I'll be happy to address them tonight. Excellent. All right. All right, the first person we are reading for today is Alexandra. Alexandra, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you would like a general reading or if you have a specific question you would like me to answer. And if anybody else would like to get on the list today, it's a great time to get on the list. You'll be the fifth person read for. How are you? Before we get started on Alexandra's reading, we are going to warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. The list I have right now for anybody who's interested in the order is Alexandra, it's my Avatar and Nikki. So if anybody else wants to get on the list right now, you'll be the fifth person read for. But before we start with Alexandra's reading, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide card here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the B. We'll do it again after the next reading. She does get the wolf a lot, doesn't she? That's a very good insight. Very good insight. Per. All right. Just bear with me a minute. Let's see here. Yep, I'm looking for it right now, Alexandra. Oh, one moment. Oh, Avana, you got on earlier? All right, dear. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. I am pulling you up now. All right. Let's see here. I've got you, Avana. All right, I'm adding you to the list as well. Okay. And if anybody else wants to get on the list right now, you will be the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, the sixth person read for. Excellent. All right, let's see. Okay. Did you say that this is outside tea? Oh, it's fine. Excellent. Is it okay? I do want to pause before we continue. Is everybody else okay on their end in terms of I saw somebody mention that they were having some issues with the feed? Okay. No, it's entirely based on your comfortability. All right. Let's see. So Tuesday night, someone messaged me out of the blue related to a favor that they needed for a family occasion. And they specifically asked for your help due to the fact that you had, they knew that you were artistically talented in some way, shape, form, or fashion. This was the first time this individual had messaged you since you last spoke in August. However, the way that they approached you felt somewhat crazy, like triggered when you were not responding fast enough and demonizing themselves rather than saying, "Sorry to bother you, but do you think you could help me?" I called them out and changed their tune. And the next day I decided to be generous but cautious. So I gave them a window to help because of a situation they were going through soon. When it came to the favor, in the end, time ran short and they never let me know they weren't coming. I spent the whole shift making sure to check my inbox, and only when my shift was coming to a close did I question it. And they were very much apologetic, saying, "Oh, I was sorry. I was meaning to message you after the event. We made it super late to everything. Thank you for your willingness to do that. Maybe we can swing by. You can meet my family, etc., etc." Just being abnormally friendly. I was already upset between this approach, the strange approach by which they approached the day before requesting something, and the inconsiderateness of the availability once you made space for it. And so the loophole to bridge the connection through the mingling with individuals that they were bringing forth to introduce to you. You politely declined and closed the shift and just went home. Since since you had declined from that, they have not responded continuing. You pulled cards for it and an interpretation of what happened, but you would love me to help get a better sense of what just occurred and what do you think their intentions were. Um, Absolutely. Let's see what we can find out around the circumstance or situation. One moment, please. And thank you for being the first one on the list today. So you're already going to be getting 5 cards, but as we mentioned, you requested the additional card. So we're going to be doing 6. You know, the one thing I have to point out that I think is really important that I'm seeing here, um, has to do with the observation of I see. I mean, the simple reading I have to give you on this is, I see somebody who has a deep difficulty recognizing and understanding the space by which energy is working to accommodate. And the thing you have to identify is, there's an energetic, there's something important that we recognize and identify as it relates to as it relates to energy exchange, right? And the thing with energy exchange is it's the observation of the fact that when we do something, right, when we do something that matters, we don't do it with the expectation of something that's going to energetically return back to us, right? It's the work by which we put ourselves forward that is effectively identified by our integrity. But the state or nature by which we often feel, right? The state or nature by which we identify what is inconvenient. It's interesting too, because I feel like I see one of your guides trying to take the word inconvenient and change it to inconvey, right? And what is the difference between inconvenient and inconvey? Inconvenient and inconvey is the state or nature by which we identify and recognize the quality of what it is that something means to us, but not just what something means to us in the moment, but the the quality and nature of what it is that we do for one another. And I see a situation with this individual that, and I keep on hearing this. Um, somebody somebody who tries to identify or recognize the the space by which, I almost see somebody with this like birth of time that doesn't recognize the observation of others that are potentially working through things, and the difference between another person trying to articulate something that they themselves would see as a minor inconvenience, failing to recognize that our time is energetically precious. And when we are energetically precious with each other's time, we hold each other's time. We hold each other's time with an essentiality, right? With the quality and the understanding that there isn't much of it. And the space by which we value and hold on to it is effectively the respect that we try to bring forth to it. So I literally see a circumstance or situation by which, like, I feel like I see somebody who is not only not respectful towards their own time, right? I would not be surprised if this is someone who potentially looks for places to spend their time, but in the space by which they don't prioritize their time, they don't prioritize others' time in the same regard or in the same fashion. So I literally see somebody, right? Like, I literally see somebody that's potentially like coming towards another at the last moment, right? Without energetic forethought. And then and I wouldn't be surprised if you noticed this in the time by which you were connected to them. Someone who potentially comes towards someone in the moment by which they identify something spontaneous, and then in the space by which they've moved on to something else, right? The observation or the understanding of what that was that they identified. Like, I just keep on seeing, right? I just keep on seeing a situation or circumstance by which they don't understand the fact that, like, I almost see the fact by which you were working fastidiously to try to prioritize the energetic commitment that you were making, because you are somebody, right? You are someone who is steadfast in their commitments, right? You're not potentially working into the context by which you're looking for places to spend things. Rather, you're being energetically conscientious. So I feel like there's something important about that, because it says to me that, and I think it's interesting too, because the thing about this is I feel like all of this needs to get out of the way of the fact by which I see that there's somebody here who owes you an apology, right? We haven't even talked about the apology I see somebody who owes you, right? Because it says to me, like, I feel like I see the last conversation having been at a point of conflict. The last conversation you potentially having with someone being at a point of conflict, potentially, and especially as it relates to prioritizing the time that they were potentially trying to spend with you. Um, so I think that that's really important, because the thing I would kind of identify or see here that I think is significant and important is that, when we come to each other, like, the message I keep on getting is, when we come to each other, we come to each other with plans fully formed, right? Because when plans are fully formed, then what we effectively do is we articulate to each other what it is that we'd like to do, and then we leave another person the room to be able to bring something into fruition. So what you basically see, and I want to keep on seeing this, right? You literally see a situation, like, what do you effectively see that's happening here? You see someone who did not have time to properly create a gift for someone that they cared about, right? They were trying to and here's the thing about, I got to tell you what I'm actually seeing here. And if you want me to tell you what I actually see here, I think you're going to have a jaw-dropping moment, okay? I see a situation by which I see a situation by which another person potentially forgot to get a gift, and in the space by which they asked you, they then told that person who they promised the gift to that you had not energetically finished making it. So what they were actually asking for you, so what they were actually asking for you to make them was an energetic excuse. They were asking you, what they basically did is they asked you to create them an energetic excuse. So the space by which they entered that, I mean, that's what I'm seeing in these cards. I see a situation by which another person energetically did not create the did not create the gift, right? And then in the context by which they asked you to energetically create the gift, they then were able to conveniently tell that person that you weren't finished making the gift. And in that way, right, I just keep on seeing, they basically, like, I keep on hearing, do you see the shuffle? Like, do you observe the shuffle by which this person does? They weren't necessarily looking to give gifts. They were looking to try to shelter themselves from the responsibility of having to enter, like, having energetically forgot or not done something. So, and I think that the one thing I keep on seeing in relationality to this was the fact that you, right? You defied their expectations because the modality or the momentum by which you were energetically ready to do something. I just keep on seeing, I almost feel like I see somebody who's in some kind of state of shock in the space by which you agreed, because I literally see somebody who potentially reached out to you expecting you to be upset at them, and then be able to try to say to you, so to say to that person, can you believe that person's audacity, because I asked them to do it and they wouldn't do it for me. So I almost see a situation by which, like, I feel like that's the most incredible thing that I'm seeing in relationality to this, because it doesn't even say to me like somebody was expecting. It almost feels like somebody who was trying to create an argument between you and them that they could then use and as an excuse for not giving someone some sort of present. I want to give you the bottom of the deck on this reading. Yeah, exactly. Like, especially like with that high priestess in its reversal, right? Like it says to me, it's literally, it says to me what they were actually trying to do. They were expecting to have a fight with you. They actually came to you with a handful of audacity, is what I keep on getting. They came to you with a cup of audacity. And I literally see the situation by which they expected, right? They came to you with a handful of audacity and they expected you in the space by which I keep wondering, like I literally see a situation by which they were like potentially going to energetically screen cap your response to something that they were asking without putting into the context of the place by which you left the conversation, to then try to articulate or express their own sadness or disappointment in the space by which they couldn't give someone something. But I keep on hearing you defy their energetic expectations in the space by which, like, I keep wondering, even in the space by which your generosity was coming through, right? That's why I keep on seeing, like, that's why, and I keep on saying they recognize and realize there was no possibility by which you would ever say that you'd want to meet that energetic relative, right? Like I almost feel like I would tell you right now, if you had articulated that you would, they wouldn't have shown up. So it just says to me, it's like literally someone that wasn't looking to you for the actual gift. They were looking to you for audacity that they could then use as an excuse for not giving that to them. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, Alexandra. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is open. It is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Binks in my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. Next person we're reading for today is, I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. Also, it's an absolutely great time to get on the list. If you'd like to get on the list, you will be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th person read for today. Uh, uh, uh. Excellent. Oh my gosh, Adam, thank you for sending 200 comments to my live. Oh dear, I hope you're having a beautiful day. And just bear with me a moment. Nikki, no. No, I listen, listen, Nicole, we deeply appreciate Nikki's commitment to the frog. I got you, Avana. We just got intuition checked. Yep. Excellent. Okay, I'm glad to hear it's fine for you guys. Oh, that's interesting, Nicole. It was at first, then stopped. Okay, that's a relief. Excellent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got it, Nikki. Right? It's super bizarre. Reading into it was really odd. Yeah, but here's the thing. It feels to me like it almost feels to me, it feels to me like somebody who completely, like every time I'm reading into it, somebody who did not believe in any way, shape, or form you would ever agree. Yeah. Absolutely. You know what? Um, Hold on. But the thing about it is, and I want to point out of like Alexandra, the fact that there was um that's what I mean, right? The extra card, like it's interesting too because I need to point out your response was the wild card to them, right? Like I keep on seeing somebody who's not somebody who hasn't met someone who hasn't met someone like you before is what I keep on seeing. Like that's what I meant in terms of like I was reading into it and there was some kind of jaw-dropping moment and I keep on getting the jaw-dropping moment was the fact by which I literally see someone who is expecting to have a fight with you and you kind of navigating it in a space by which I just keep on seeing like you just kind of being like explaining to them how you feel and then being like, okay, this is what I can do, right? Like it almost shows a lot of that adaptability. Absolutely. Hi there, Brown Eyes. Thank you for also being here, receiving these messages. Yeah, you saw the cards, right, Nikki? Yeah, like that's a very good gift for what I was seeing, Evox. You know? Yeah, but that's what I meant. That's why there was another card there, right? Because again, instead of giving them, I keep on writing, instead of giving them the excuse that they anticipated, there you were with the opportunity. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does explain the B. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were being. Yeah, you did you note? Yeah, did you notice? Did you notice the remarkable aggressiveness? Yeah, I was getting that right. It like it was weird energy. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's continue. I know, sending you support on that journey, dear. But here's the thing about like, and I want to point this out, Alexandra. I don't think I see a situation there. Like the reason I was reading into that is your guide was like your guide was that's who you are, right? Like I want to point out that's not you. I keep on getting from your guide. That's not you over giving. That's you. You being the person that you are is what I keep on seeing, right? And that's you kind of giving your all to things. So don't like I want to point out like the thing we have to understand is um we often work through the understanding or the recognition of observing when we talk about observe don't absorb. When what we really mean by that is if you're someone who's compassionate and you see someone taking advantage of that, you don't let it change the nature by which you give the compassion, but you allow it to recalibrate in terms of the experience by which you hold another, right? And so I feel like I keep on getting a strong message from one of your guides in relationality to observe, don't absorb, because I feel like you almost see, I feel like you almost see some kind of tendency around an individual. It's interesting because here's the thing about it. I was going to try to say individual, but the word dirigible came through. So dirigible being like someone who tries to, I keep on hearing someone who tries to come towards you in a state by which they say, oh, you see, like, did you see what, like somebody who tries to show something to another person and say like, oh, do you see what I have to deal with? You know what I mean? Like somebody who's trying to utilize you as the excuse for them not doing things is what I keep on seeing. Sending you so much support on that journey, dear. All right, the next person we're reading for today. And just a reminder if anybody else wants to get on the list, you will be the fifth person read for 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Binks in my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. Just taking a moment to read over the comments. Mm-hmm. I always feel bad when I get the frog because I think they also got us confused. That's so funny, Nicole. Absolutely. I got you. Excellent. And before we continue right now with It's My Reading, can I please get, um, yeah, I've got the Animal Spirit Guide card. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the boar. Thank you. We'll do that again after the next reading. Okay. And before we continue right now, and I'm going to pin up here. Guys, make sure to give It's My some love. Okay. So I feel like I see something really interesting right now that you're doing, specifically and particularly as it relates to, like, it feels to me like there's something about this that feels like heavily related to your, like, it's interesting because, like, I feel like there's something about this in terms of, like, there's some kind of shoulder energy here. And the thing you have to recognize, um the thing you have to recognize when it comes to shoulder energy is, it's interesting because I almost feel like I've got a guide articulating upon the fact that, that's what shoulders are for, to a certain extent, and I want to point this out. um when we've got healthy, I keep on hearing, when we've got healthy shoulders, then, like, healthy shoulders hold things. They don't they don't nudge, is what I keep on getting. Healthy shoulders hold things. They don't energetically nudge. And the reason that's coming through is, I feel like I'm identifying um a circumstance or situation where someone is telling you, right? It almost feels like somebody telling you to speak up for yourself more. Like, that's what's really interesting about something that I'm seeing here. It feels like somebody articulating about speaking up more. But the thing I keep on seeing in relationality to speaking up more, and you know, I want to point this out. When when we're speaking up, when we speak up for others, they energetically speak up for us, is what I keep on getting. Right? The identification, or the work that we do to try to articulate, not to try to articulate upon something, allows us to be able to get stronger at things. And I feel like that's really important because I almost I see you trying to help somebody in relationality to their own blind spot. And I want to point this out. Like, this is the strongest work that we do for each other, right? Helping each other through our blind spots is often identifying or helping someone see something that they haven't, some possibility that they haven't navigated, or some way of approaching something that they might not necessarily have conceived of before. And the thing about that is, the only way we can do that is if we're energetically ready to have an uncomfortable conversation. And what's interesting about it is, I feel like I see you constantly having uncomfortable conversations with yourself. And I would actually say, um, I'm actually like, I'm telling you, you need to stop doing that as much. Because the thing is when I keep on, and it's interesting because you've got a guide that's trying to articulate upon the fact, um, that when we're working to dismantle, we don't dissemble. I need to write that down for you. Hold on a minute. Get your cards out. It's something that I just keep on getting coming through, again and again and again right now. So just bear with me a moment. There it is. And it feels angelic, you know? And it's interesting too because, like, it feels a little bit like, it feels a little bit like healing from over apologizing, you know? And the thing about it is, and especially like the one thing I'm getting related to it is, um when we are apologizing for things, we are articulating upon the fact that we're trying to work to fix it, is what I keep on getting. Yeah, I mean, it's feeling, you know exactly what I'm reading for here. And the thing about it, and that's why it's giving me a lot of shoulder energy, because it's kind of saying to me, like, the base, like, the interesting thing in terms of identity, the difference between apologizing and telling someone what you're facing is often the space by which you say to another, like, that is you being able to accurately assess where responsibility lies, right? Like, your ability to simply articulate, to say, like, and I keep on hearing this, like, the space by which one apologizes, right? Like, the space by which, when we apologize for something, we energetically work to do something better. And I feel like I see you, like, doing that. But this is why um we can't fully apologize for other people, because I just keep on getting, if it's something like, and it almost feels like somebody who can kind of see what you're energetically dealing with to a certain extent because it's like the thing I keep on getting is like I feel like I feel like I don't know if you're in some kind of leadership position, but it feels like something connected to leadership, right? Because um we don't apologize for things we can fix, right? So, like a good apology, we only hear once because it's the space by which we articulate and identify and say, like, I'm working to address that. And I want you to, I want you to write down those words. I've got a guide like underlining that, right? I'm working to address that. And I just keep on hearing, I am working to address that. And I want to point this out. There's something about I am working to address that is you saying to another person, I realize that something is not acceptable, but I'm also not going to apologize for it because I apologizing for it would be latent. Whereas you saying I'm working to address that is a form of apology by which you effectively can say to somebody like, oh no, like I see it too, and we're actively working through it is what I keep on getting. So I think that that's important because I almost feel like it has to do with someone coming towards you with with a critique or a criticism, right? And the space by which they articulate it, and you saying that is you being it's like, and this is where that guide comes in, which is the observation of saying you don't have to apologize for it if you're fully aware of it. You just need to articulate to another person what you're energetically doing about it. So think about like, and I think it's interesting too because um, it's interesting because I keep on, and you're, I'm just gonna, you see, I like reading for you because I'm gonna say certain words and I think you're gonna know what I'm talking about. I keep on getting, all you need to do is identify another person's cadence and progress around something. Because when you identify another person's cadence and progress, then it's a space by which you say, like, and I keep on getting cadence and progress is like, I keep, okay, that's why they're articulating cadence and progress because you have to understand cadence. Oh, this is wild. Cadence is how you do something, right? Like to say to somebody, oh, that's their cadence, right? Then you can say to someone like, no, that is the way that they like doing it and it gets done, even if it's odd, versus that needs to be progressed upon is saying like we're actively working to correct that. So I feel like there's something really important about that because they're saying, I don't know what if you're like trying to land upon the word and explaining something, but they're articulating that to identify the difference between cadence and progress is the space by which you say like this is what we can expect versus this is what they're actually like this is what they're actually getting better with. And I feel like it's interesting too, and you see it too because like I want to point this out, like even as I was reading for this, we now have right the negative energy coming in, right, like almost on cue. And I like to point this out. I've learned at this point that when energy comes in that rapidly, we probably landed on something very important, right? Have you noticed the tendency? Right, like when the negative when the negativity rises, it's like it often articulates the fact that we're you're on the right track with that. So don't get frustrated if you experience more static. Let the static serve as confirmation. Thank you so much for having that reading with me. It's mine. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings. Like, I just keep on getting cadence and progress is really important in that reading. It's mine, so just keep that in mind. If this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages. It's fascinating, isn't it? It's just it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list, The list is open. You will be the 5th person read for. 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my super fans. Hold on, I'm getting a bunch of side messages. It's just this guide. Oh my gosh. You messaged me privately for this one. It's a banger. All right. I might just pop it up. I mean, it feels more like a collective message, so I might just pop it up over in the disco. Excellent. All right. I'm gonna take a. Well, I'll give it to you and what you choose to do with it, because that it's like it's your like that's kind of how like it's coming through. Excellent. And that's the only reason. That's the only reason I didn't go ahead and mute and block that individual, because it felt like confirmation that was coming through on that reading. Mm-hmm. And thank you, Dark, for also receiving these messages. It's a good thing I only have a good memory when I read. That's a funny. You want to talk about confirmation? See me when I'm not reading and ask me something. You want to talk about the power? You want to talk about the wonderful power of reading? Like come see me when I'm not reading and then check my memory. Just taking a moment to read over the comments. You were close, Nikki. If you squint, bull bore. It does sound like one. It really does. Absolutely. I removed pieces of access to people lately. It's dismantling. No, I was seeing that. Yeah, at least in a sincere apology. I am. And I love being back in this role. I'm good in profession, not good in personal. But listen, that's what exactly what I'm talking about. You're good in profession, you're dealing with a lot in personal. Like that's what you need to correct there. You have to erase the fact by which you don't think you're good. You have to think about what you're dealing with. Yeah, it's a good way to take accountability. Lena, I'm happy to. I'm happy to read for you if you'd like to get on the list. List is open. 3 cards for 29 or more for non-subscribers. Mm-hmm. And thank you, Lisa, for the follow. Yeah, but I think it's really I think it's really interesting, right? Because before I even said that, Nikki, you kind of landed on the same thing there, didn't you? You're welcome. Guys, please remember not to message people who are over promising things and trying to move you into a private space to communicate. Yeah, you've been told you remember everything. There is a list, Crystal. If you'd like to get on it, you'll be the 5th person read for. All right, let's continue right now. The next person we are reading for today is Avatar. Avatar, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. In the meantime, if you would like to get on the list right now, the list is open. It's 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers being semi-lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I don't read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight and anything in private readings. And you can book private readings on my site. Ooh, before we continue though, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide card here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I'll reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the salmon. And we're going to continue. Nicole, thank you for getting on the list. I've got 4 spots available today before the list will be closed. If anybody else would like to secure a spot on the list, it's a great time to do so. Oh, man. I got you, Nicole. The fish. Well, we got to talk about it because this reading, Avatar, are you feeling that? Hold on a minute. Let me pin you up. Yeah, I can already see it from what you posted. It's going to be a whole thing. Oh, jeez Louise. Four cards. What on earth happened? What in the what? Oh my goodness. Oh no. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with these cards I'm seeing. Somebody's going through an awakening. well, indeed. Well is actually a really good word. I need to point out you're actually channeling it too, because I was going to articulate to you that I typically pull the animal oracle cards upright, and I was really encouraged to keep this one facing downwards, which says to me like somebody is pearl diving, is what I keep on getting, you know, because they're having like they're going like I don't know what like that something's happened. There's I'm trying to understand what happened here. Um I just keep on hearing the word anomaly. I'm reading I'm reading and like I'm reading into a situation somebody saw, like I keep on I'm getting something, somebody saw something like I want to point out, I'm just going to give you a little bit about what I'm seeing here. I don't know if you felt something here, but the best way I can describe this is this feels like I'm getting somebody here who like firmly, like I just keep on getting someone being like they firmly don't believe, they were like they firmly don't believe in things, is what I keep on getting. Like it's giving me like is I keep on it's funny because I've got a guide going, somebody had a case of the mumbo jumbos that I cleared them of. That's actually what I keep on hearing. I'm hearing somebody's guide saying somebody had a case. Like it's funny because they're saying to me that they would describe themselves with a capital, like I'm just hearing from their guide now, they would describe themselves as a capital A in terms of believing things, right? And their guide has been letting them, like I just keep on hearing, they've been letting them go around describing themselves with a capital A. And now I just hear the guide going, it's going, somebody, I just hear the guide going, it sounds like somebody has a case of the mumbo jumbos that I need to clear them of, is what I keep on getting. Somebody's got a case of the mumbo jumbos that need, and I love the fact I've never heard like the fact that they said the fact that I just keep on hearing someone say sounds like somebody's got a case of the mumbo jumbos is cracking me up, because it's like the type of person, right? Like the type of person who now feels like they feel like they sound like when another person, like I keep on getting this is a type of person that when like another person would be like, and then this happened, and I was like, and they'd be like, uh-huh, like I got them going like, uh-huh, like yeah, sure, like you know what I mean, like, and I just keep on getting a guide, like I have to write this down. um oh man. Yeah, and it's interesting too because I literally, like, the thing about it is I just keep on seeing a guide around them going, explain that. I'll wait. Like, I feel explain that. They're going, explain that. I'll wait. And it's like, um, but and I think that there's something, I think that there's something really important there too, because um I'm also getting a message of someone, I'm also getting the message of someone who's in spirit. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I gotta point out, I sometimes see this happening to individuals when there's somebody who's very important to us that is energetically crossed over, right? Because it's like I just keep on getting like like, and I literally I see somebody like walking through something, going I literally hear, I keep on hearing somebody go like, that either happened or I need to check myself in somewhere, is what I keep on seeing. Like, I see somebody, and the reason I'm just laughing about it is because the person feels very sarcastic, is what I keep on getting. Like, they're very sarcastic. And so I see somebody that's like, and this is them, is what I keep on getting, right? Because, and I keep on, the funny part about it, there's nothing, I love this. There's nothing funnier to me. Like, and I want to point out, there's two different type of people in this world. Okay. There are those who look for signs everywhere. Okay. Like, there are those who look for signs everywhere. And then they're like, oh, I didn't see a sign. And then there's those who like straight up don't believe in them. And it's like when they pass by, they're like, this is what I keep on seeing. And the thing about it is I've got, like, the reason I'm laughing about it is because their guide is laughing about it, is what I keep on getting. Like, the space by which they're trying to identify, because I just keep on seeing somebody who is like devoutly against believing things, and they're struggling, I keep on hearing they're struggling very hard with their disbelief right now. And I don't know if you felt that, but I keep on getting, it feels like something that happened, just to give you a confirmation, if and when, like, not if, but when you meet this person, it probably was at some point around that new moon in Taurus, is what I keep on getting. Like, um like, I keep on hearing like it was the new moon in Taurus, and it just feels like it feels like some kind of surprise. It also feels like somebody was like dragged somewhere. Yeah, like, it's interesting. I've got double five of pentacles on this. So I just keep on seeing a situation by which another person, like, it's interesting. I almost feel like I see a situation where someone was dragged to go somewhere with someone that believed in something. And in the process of being there, they saw something that they can't explain, is what I keep on getting. And so that's why I kind of see somebody that's like that's in a way going through that process, because the process that I see them navigating is like, I see them being like trying to, like, they're trying to resolve what's happening right now, right? And I keep on seeing them say, like, that's what I meant. Like, they, like, I literally see a situation by which they're like, either I need to change my opinions on things, or I need to check myself in some way. I keep on like, that's what I keep on hearing with this double five energy. Like, I literally see somebody that is like just, and it's interesting too because it feels to me like they don't have anyone to talk to about it. You know, like, I feel like I see them because, and here's the thing about it, because they've surrounded them, like, they're known. I keep wondering, they're known by like those around them, in terms of being like profoundly dubious about things. So I just keep on seeing them being like, what do I do with this? But I think it's important because I want to like, I feel like you're going to find this person. Like I keep on hearing, you're going to find this person like coming to terms with their, I keep on hearing they're coming to terms, they're coming to terms with their spirituality is what I keep on. They're like, I guess I literally, the way you're going to recognize this person is the fact they're going to tell you something. And I keep on hearing, I guess I have to be spiritual now, is what I keep on hearing. I guess I have to be spiritual now. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings. If you would like to get on the list is open. We've got 4 spots available today before the list will be closed. It's 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers, links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. Just taking a moment to read over the comments that came through as I was reading. Hi there, Bridget. Mm-hmm. Why were they swimming too? That's a very ominous thing to say. 686. We've got kind of a rule here about the ubiquitous they. We try not to employ it. But again, you're welcome to communicate, so long as you're utilizing full thought forms in the chat space. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Avatar, really, Avatar. Well, that was you with the Queen of Cups there. Yeah, to do. Yeah, I guessed it. One person too early. I felt it hold. Yep, absolutely. Going within. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It sounds like something I can dance to. I love this. It's your summer. I love that, Evox. Good to see you, Bridget. Yeah, be prepared to do a lot of explaining in regards to the spiritual. Avatar, nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's giving me it is. It's giving me a little bit of this, like, is this even real kind of energy? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Wait, what happened? Did I miss something? Oh, Bridget. Oh, I'm holding so much space for you, dear. How are you? Oh, dear. Oh, I'm sending you so much support. It's not easy. Um, if there's anything we can do, let us know, okay? Absolutely. We are going to continue. The next person on the list today is Nikki. Nikki, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. Are you okay, Nathan? I have to point out, Nathan, you're making the intentional choice of being here in terms of being anywhere right now. And you seem to be vacillating very wildly in relationality to the statements that you're making. I want to point out, Yeshua never articulated that you should worship them. They were communicating a message of love and peace. So I have the same rule that Yeshua does in terms of relationality to the space. We are trying to create a space here that's supportive to those who need it, and hold each other in a place of love and compassion. That includes myself. So you're welcome to stay, because obviously there's potentially something here that you need if you could be anywhere right now and you choose to be here. But I do need to ask you to be non-judgmental or confrontational, particularly as it relates to trying to be in some way, shape, or form adversarial. If you're concerned about adversarial energy, I want to point out that you've come in here acting as adversary. Thank you so much, and sending you support on your journey. How are you doing today? Welcome, Dandy. Good to see you. And thank you guys for supporting each other in the comments. Next person we're reading for today is Nikki. Nikki, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. And if anybody else wants to get on the list, we've got 4. Started like that inbox. We've got 4 spots available today before the list will be closed. 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I don't read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings. And you can book private readings on my site. We read for here life path, highest priority messages from spirit, angelic. Thank you for that gift, Andy. Dream interpretation, past life, mediumship, love readings, pet readings, animal spirit guide readings, akashic, mind, body, spirit, love, and aura. If you've got information that you feel is necessary or relevant for the purposes of our read, you can include it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber only disco channels in the appropriate channels. We are doing a dream interpretation. It's been a minute since we did a dream. It's this energy, man. All right, let's get to it. All right, where are we? And you know what happens here when we're doing dreams? We got to bust out the dream coconut. Okay. All right. And is this inside tea or outside tea, Nikki? It's a little foggy. Oh, you say foggy, but you wrote down so much. I find that very hard to believe to be true. Before we continue, though, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide card here. We're going to count back from 10, and when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the seal. We'll do that again after the next reading. And we've got the dream coconut for the dream. Ooh, I like that. All right, what do we got here? I had a dream that took place during some kind of apocalyptic or outbreak type situation. It wasn't exactly zombies, but there was some kind of danger spreading. Part of the dream took place in Kirkland, where I grew up. The streets were mostly empty and nobody was outside except for cops patrolling around. Everyone else was staying indoors. I was driving with someone, possibly my mom, though I'm not completely sure. At some point in the dream, shifted to an area that looked like my college campus or the surrounding town. Unlike my hometown, people there were still walking around, eating at restaurants, acting more normally despite whatever was happening outside. In the dream, we were trying to get somewhere, possibly an apartment, while avoiding dangerous people outside. The dream kept replaying almost like a video game respawn point. Every time we started walking, I would decide to take a certain route that initially seemed like an obvious or correct way to go. Instead of walking straight for about 3 blocks, though, we would walk up 1 block over and then back down again before continuing. Partway through the walk each time, I would suddenly realize the route didn't make sense and wonder why we had done it again instead of just taking the direct path. But every time the loop restarted, I would still somehow make the same decision at first, like it genuinely seemed correct in the moment. As the loop kept repeating, I became more aware of how inefficient it was and kept questioning why we continued doing it that way. We eventually found a place to get food, and it was a restaurant scene that was somewhat chaotic. It was one of those places with multiple restaurants or food vendors inside one building. I remember standing in line and having trouble deciding what to order because the menu felt strange. And one moment, because the menu felt strange. It's interesting. Hold on a moment. Okay. I remember standing in line and having trouble deciding what to order because the menu felt strange and overwhelming. The line moved quickly, and when I finally picked something, it wasn't even what I actually received. We received a bunch of different types of pizza, some big pieces, some small half pizzas, very random, and I ended up helping hand food out to everyone else there. It didn't feel like I worked there, more like I just taken responsibility for helping everyone get their food. The people seemed vaguely familiar, possibly coworkers or acquaintances, but I don't clearly remember who they were. There was also something involving an apartment and furniture, but that part is vague and hard to remember. What does it mean? All right, let's get to the bottom of it. Can I get 4 cards, please? So, the thing that we see that's happening in this dream that's very important to keep in mind is the identification point of the rotation, okay? Because the one thing that we identify is there are cycles. Everything we do, to a certain extent, is energetically cyclical, right? And that is to be energetically expected to a certain extent. And it's interesting too, because I want to relate back to a reading that we did prior to this one to be able to understand this dream even further, which is the difference between, right, a healthy energetic cycle that feels like it sustains and maintains, which would be something that we identified as a cadence, or the space by which we do something in a way that we feel energetically restored, versus something that something that feels like it's confusing or energetically stymied in the space by which we sometimes feel that we stand like we're standing in our own way. Now, a lot of the work that we see that's happening in this, it's clearly a shadow work dream. We're going to start there. But the space by which we see that you're navigating the shadow work is identifying anything in your own experience by which you potentially feel a rut or stuck, right? So I want you to think about shadow work around ruts and stuckness. Now let's take that work, right, and bring it back to what we were effectively seeing that was occurring in the dream space. You identified that it seemed that there was some type of outbreak situation. And you said it wasn't exactly zombies, but there was some kind of inherent danger that seemed to be spreading. And it felt related directly to your own hometown. And as a result of it, nobody was outside and everybody was forced to effectively stay indoors. Okay. You said that you were driving someone, possibly your mother, but you're not sure. And the one thing you want to understand is even in the quality by which you identified that you were doing something, we literally see the fact that you're immediately in a space by which you're defying orders. Okay. the minute there you are, right? There you are in the dream space, and it feels, right? It feels like there's something there by which you were energetically given a directive, right? But there you are, and you're driving, and the conscientious point, and this is why I think it's important, because this is why I like doing readings with those, like, this is why I like doing readings with my clients on repeat, because one of the things that we often start to experience when we're navigating or charting out the landscape of the dream space is we've noticed a quality and tendency in your dream space where we see there's often a dissimilarity between what you will do for yourself versus the lengths that you will go to for another, right? So here we see you going, not doing something, like we immediately get the observation of where the shadow work lives, because here you are, right, defying an order, but we see the fact that you're not defying an order or a directive for the sake of the self, but on behalf of another person. So you identified, right? That's the first thing that the guides are effectively showing you, that quality or tendency that you have to do that. You then identified that the dream shifted to an area that looked like your college campus or surrounding town. So we see the maturation point. So this could be articulating, right, that what we basically see that is potentially happening in the connection point by which you navigated the childhood wound to the space by which it moved to college was potentially an experience. I wouldn't be surprised if you had an experience by which you experienced a childhood wound of another person telling you that they shouldn't be doing something, but they were doing something specifically for you, right? And something about that potentially stuck with you. And that's what we saw that you brought with you, right? That is actually, right? That is actually what the outbreak is, because this is you taking that outbreak of the wound, right? Taking the outbreak of the wound into a college environment. And then you identified that there were still people out. Now there are people out walking around, eating at restaurants, acting more normal despite whatever was happening. Because much like navigating an inner child wound, that's what happens when we heal. Like here are all of us with these inner child wounds that we're trying to resolve, right? And what do we see happen? You said the dream kept replaying like a video game respawn moment. And every time you started walking, you would decide to take a certain route that initially seemed like obvious or correct way to go. But instead of walking straight for about 3 blocks, you would walk up 1 block over and then back down again. So the identification of what feels like it's getting in your way as it relates to the progress that you hope to see in your own experience. And you identified, and now we're getting to it, because it's almost like a life path reading that's happening in the dream related to shadow work. So now we see the fact that you're navigating a feeling rut or stuck, carrying a wound in relationality to the observation that there are things that you won't do for yourself, but for another, you'll do anything, right? And now we've got partway through the walk, each time you suddenly realize the route didn't make sense and wonder why who's we? Who's we? We had done it again instead of just taking the direct path. And there we are. See how you caught yourself, right? You kept on describing the fact that you said we, but you never described, right? You never told me who you were with. The only person you initially decided you were with was the parent. But here we see, right? Here we see the energy of you potentially recognizing that you will go to any length for another, and then being energetically surprised that when you're energetically following someone that you'll go to any length to, you feel that sense of uncertainty because you end up exactly where you began again, right? And this is effectively helping you because you identified the fact that you said every time the loop restarted, you said you would still somehow make the same decision at first. Like it generally seemed correct in the moment, and the loop kept repeating, and you became more aware of how inefficient it was and kept questioning why you continued to do it this way. So this is potentially you doing the shadow work of understanding what you've healed so far. So this is potentially experiencing situations that felt like you were in unbalanced relationship dynamics where another person was making all the decisions, but you yourself recognized that those decisions were not helpful. However, your own inability, like your own ability, right, carrying the wound from childhood in terms of not wanting to say something for the fear of someone doing something on your behalf, is potentially when you don't want to do something on your behalf, then you have to work into the space of another person's behest, right? And this brings us to the fact that you said you eventually found a place to get food, and it was a restaurant scene that was somehow chaotic. And it was one of those places where were many, many things inside the building. You said you were standing in line, you were having trouble deciding what to order because the menu felt strange and overwhelming. The line moved quickly. And when you finally picked something, it wasn't even what you actually wanted, right? Because there you are taking so much time for consideration of others that you're not having the opportunity to take time to decide what it is that you needed for yourself. And you have to remember that this is a past version of self, because shadow work dreams are showing us things that we ourselves have experienced. You said you received a bunch of different types of food, some big pieces, some small halves of pizzas, and you said very random, and you ended up helping to hand out food, and this is the important part, right, to everyone else there. And it didn't feel like you worked there, more like you had just taken the responsibility for helping everyone get what they needed. The people seemed vaguely familiar, possibly coworkers and acquaintances, but you couldn't clearly remember who they were, right? And there was something involving an apartment or furniture, but that part is vague and hard to remember. So what the shadow work dream is effectively showing is your own energetic tendency. And here's the important thing, and I need to stress this. Shadow work dreams don't guides never show us things that are not positive or negative. They show us inclinations so that we can be our best version of self, right? And this is the observation of your own compassion that is being experienced in the dream space. But the thing about it you have to understand is when you hold compassion, you also get included in that compassion, right? The compassion that you hold for others, you get some as well. So it's not too much, right? And that's where I kept on getting. It's not when you articulate on your behalf, right? Then you're helping to energetically heal that wound, because it's the space that by which you may be feeling, or the experiences by which you recognize that, like, sometimes we're lucky, like sometimes we're blessed, and we have those who are considerate of us, particularly if we are of a very generous nature. But our own ability to identify and articulate our needs allow us the ability to navigate situations by which we ourselves feel like something is energetically unfair. And that ability, right, bottom of the deck, right, the thing that you're seeing that you're working to heal from, and I like to point this out. I told you nothing in this dream was vague, but you're fighting vagueness, right? This dream is about shadow work related to your own vagueness, because it's a space by which you may potentially often feel like you're being vague because you're afraid to ask for things, and potentially feeling afraid to ask for things due to a situation by which another person put a wound in you in terms of identifying something they were doing for you that they potentially articulated was very, very dangerous. So the ability to understand that is potentially, like, the shadow work itself is potentially helping to reveal the wound, to understand that when we care about each other, right, we don't articulate upon the frustration we feel as we're doing things for one another, but the energetic space by which we identify and articulate, right, like that shape of being able to help and understand that there's something related to a wound of that nature, is understanding and recognizing, right, that the – like, I like to point this out. um, the space by which we're doing something from a point of care. And I will also point out, I want to stress this as well. Just because it's coming through the form of a parent doesn't mean that this wound occurred there, because the reason that you were seeing it through the visage of the parent is understanding that it's the nature of the inner child healing, right? The space by which another person may have put too much responsibility on you for something that was happening, that made you feel, right? That made you feel afraid to ask for things for the fear of somebody putting themselves in a bad or dangerous situation as a result of something that you energetically requested. Thank you so much for having that reading with me. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is closed, but we've got, you can get on the list for tomorrow and you'll have first priority, which means you'll be read for before we start the daily collective. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as it was reading. And Veronica, thank you for the follow. Just one moment. Oh, you used to have a lot of those dreams as well, Per. That's fascinating. I always forget about the seal. Oh, that's wild. Yeah, it's like a Groundhog Day situation. Yep. Oh, goosebumps. I had a similar dream that wasn't a zombie dream that wasn't, and I kept respawning. Oh, thank you for also receiving that message, Chrissy. A Vox. My dreams are so normal. I did have one where the moon dropped and I felt the whoosh. That's wild, Evox. Why aren't we reading on that? Get on the list. I don't get post-apocalyptic dreams. I don't know why you're upset about that, Evox. You always do. Yeah, more shadow work. I mean, you knew I was gonna. Come on, you knew I was gonna bring it. Like, it's clearly a shadow work dream. I think I've always, I think I've always been weirdly leading from a parentified state. Yeah, maybe not love the message though. Exactly. I think it was me, but it was foggy. Okay. Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Like that. But I like to point this out. Like that's what shadow work dreams are. Like they kind of are temperature checks. One moment. And thank you. I can see it now. I always feel like things are on me. Oh, snap. I think it has to do with right now. Oh, sending you support, Nikki. I'm struggling with an injury. My mom just keeps wanting me to go do stuff, but you can't. Like here's the thing about it. If you've got an injury, you need to prioritize rest to be able to make sure that you're going to be able to heal from it effectively. I know. Sending you support on that journey, dear. Absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, I'm an only child. I've always been very independent, so it's hard when I can't do things myself. Yeah, that's amazing, Nicole. Oh my God, Nicole. Shadow work feel like it's a song that never ends. It's fair. It really is. Oh my goodness. All right, let's continue right now. The next person on the list is Avana. And Avana, yes, you'll be getting that additional card. If you could let me know. Yeah, exactly. Before, Avana, if you could let me know if we're doing, I think, hold on a minute. Avana, are we doing a dreamy dream? Yeah, we're doing double dreamy dreams. We've got a lot of dreamy dreams today. I'm not mad about it. Guys, please make sure you don't message people promising weird things. Okay, thank you. All right, where are we? Before we continue with Ivana's dream, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide cards here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the blackbird. We'll do it again after the next reading. All right. I know I'm not mad about a double dream, but you guys know what that means. If we're never doing another dream, we gotta bust out the dream coconut. Ooh. Is this inside tea or outside tea? Perfect. You did say blackbird last time. All right. I was in my house, a different house than my real one. It was around sunset or sunrise, and there was a very beautiful lighting throughout the house. I had just woken up and started fixing my room, and then I decided to go to the living room where I saw my little nephew there. My sister in law and nephew had stopped unexpectedly, and I was very happy to see them. I don't remember much of this part of the dream, but we went into the kitchen, and my nephew started pointing at something and mumbling. There were hummingbirds all over the kitchen, along with my parakeets. We were amazed and having fun, and I remember recording everything with my glasses to show my husband. Then there was a couple at my house who was about to get married. I didn't know them, and there were tarot cards in front of us. I started reading the cards for them, explaining how they were doing in the present, seemed connected to the cards and what was unfolding in their lives at that moment. Then the dream shifted, and I was in my car. There was traffic. While I was waiting, something seemed to be wrong with the car of the man in front of me. So he got out. He looked at me and smiled. It seemed like he was about to grab or touch my windshield. So I knocked on my window and motioned with my hands for him to stop and not do that. He smirked and walked away. Suddenly, he was somehow behind my car. He opened my trunk and took out a humongous pew pew. I got out of my car and he started running, so I started chasing him. As I ran, kind of lost track of him and stopped to rest at a bar in the middle of nowhere, almost like a desert. Then the guy showed up again and I started throwing things at him, trying to get him to give me back my pew pew, but he dodged everything I threw. He started running again. Another man there said he was also chasing him because the guy had taken something from him too, or at least that's what I assumed. The other man had a machete, and I had a small pocket knife to defend myself. As he went looking for him, we stopped and looked like an antique shop. There were many old objects inside. The man was telling me something, but I barely paid attention because I became fixated on a very antique lamp. It had three hanging pieces that looked like stones. One seemed to be citrine, another sunstone, and another possibly carnelian. The two stones on the side were round and carved with a figure that looked like a wizard, something like Merlin with a hat and a long beard. Those seemed to be the carnelian and sunstone. In the middle had a yellowish color resembling citrine, and it was carved in the form of Christ on the cross. I felt very tempted to take it. Then my attention shifted to something right beside it that looked like Egyptian wrapping paper. It was white with gold hieroglyphics upon it. Then I woke up. Let's see, can I get 4 cards? We're actually going to do 5 cards because you have an additional card coming to you. So the first thing we're going to start with is we're going to describe the fact by which we see you in a house. Now, the house is the mansion of the self. And we can see the fact that this is the mansion of the self because you identified that, I need to stress this, you identified that it was your house, even though you don't live there, right? You were just very aware of the fact that this house was yours. So this, the first part of the dream is effectively an energy read. Okay. And what do we see in that first part of the dream? You said it was around sunset or sunrise. So we see that you're existing within a twilight space, as it were. And a twilight and a sunset or sunrise can often be indicative of a liminal space, right? And it's important by what you said you couldn't tell which one it was. So here we see you existing in a liminal space, but it's beautiful, right? It's a beautiful liminal space. Okay. And you said you just woken up and started fixing your room. And then you decided to go to your living room, and there you saw your nephew there with your sister in law. And your nephew had stopped by unexpectedly, and you were very happy to see them. So, what's beautiful about this is almost where we see your higher self residing, right? It's working into the bliss space, as it were. And not only do we see the fact that we're working into the bliss space, but the recognition or the understanding that we see all of these beautiful things that are energetically occurring there. Now, you then say you don't remember much of this part of the dream, but you said you went to the kitchen, and while your nephew had started pointing at something and mumbling, there were hummingbirds all over the kitchen, along with many parakeets. And we were amazed. You were amazed and having fun. And I remember recording everything with your glasses to show your husband. Now, this is really interesting with the fact that you identified that you were using glasses, right, to show your husband, because this is often what we do, right? Not only there's a bifurcation point in this part of the dream, because not only do we see that this dream could be a manifestation goal, so like the idea of the higher self that's manifesting the ideal space by which the higher self would long to be and exist, but also it's the observation that this is what we do when we love each other, right? This is what we do when we truly love each other. Because when we truly love each other, we desire to show each other things, right? When something beautiful is occurring, we often feel the state or space by which we identify or wish that we ourselves could be there to be able to see it. So that's what we effectively identify is occurring there. There's two different things that are happening in that dream space. We're seeing the fact by which we see the ideal manifestation goal by which the higher self would love to attain, but we also see the guide that speaks through that space and says, remember as we go through the dream that when we love each other, we want to show each other things, because that can be important as we continue through the dream space. We then get to a couple in your house who are about to get married. You said you didn't know them, but there were tarot cards in front of us. And you started reading the cards for them, explaining how what they were doing in the present seemed connected to the cards and what was unfolding in their lives at that moment. So here we see that in the place of the higher self, we see you energetically reading for another. And in the context by which we see you reading for another, we also see that you are serving as their guide, and you're articulating to them that what we do in the present is connected to the cards and what was unfolding in their lives at that moment. So that's the reading that you gave them. But let's hold on to that. Okay. Let's hold on to all of that, because that is a part of that's where the higher self is. Now let's get to the shadow work. That's the ideal. This is what it feels like you're really dealing with right now. Here's all that trauma showing up. He said you're in, but like that's the ideal relationship. Okay. And not only do we see it's the ideal relationship, right? Like there's the ideal. Okay. Where are we? Where do we see you? You're in a car and there's traffic and you're waiting, and it seems like something is wrong with the car of the person in front of you, right? And they get out and they look at you, and what do? You're being polite, you smile. And then it seemed like, and this is what happens, right? And this is why we build a point of wariness, because this is you having to overcome the space by which, when we care about each other, right, we're energetically mindful of being able to try to communicate things, right? And so this is you feeling the anxiety of miscommunication in the relationality to being polite, and another person getting the wrong idea, right? Because there you are, literally just minding your business, just minding your business. And there is something wrong with the car in front of you. And you identified the fact that the person looked at you and smiled, and all you did, right? All you did was return the energetic courtesy. And what did they do in the context of you returning that courtesy? They tried to take it a step further, right? The modality by which all you were trying to do was be energetically polite, and another person tries to overstep by getting closer to you, right? That was you learning to be able to articulate upon your own boundaries, in terms of you knocking on the window and motioning with their hands to stop and not do that, which is the space by which you're getting. This is where we see you now. This is you being able to articulate your needs as it relates to your comfortability. You then said that there was someone, and then suddenly, once you did that, right? So there you are. This is the work that you're doing now in terms of getting better at articulating your comfortability, right? Who's that behind your car? Who's that behind your car? Do to do. Somebody shows up behind your car, and they open your trunk, and they take out a humongous pew pew. Now, here's the thing that's important, okay? And I'm sure that I'm not the only one that noticed this about the dream. In a regular situation, the identification point of someone being outside of our car with a pew pew would be distressing. That would be a good reason to stay in the car. But what do we see you doing? What do we see you doing? What do we see you doing? And first of all, what was it doing there in the first place, right? What was it doing there in the first place? Got a lot of questions for you now, okay? Because it's the observation, and this is what's great about it, the observation of what happens when another person, right? When another person tries to energetically, and this is what's beautiful about it. The guide is showing you why you're worried about that, right? Because there's the guide behind you, right? There's the guide in your trunk saying the reason that you're afraid to allow people close is because you are dealing with a wound where somebody has weaponized something that you said to them in a moment of kindness, right? This is the guide showing you the full extent of the wound you're carrying, which is the pew pew in the back of your car, because it's a reflection of what just happened in the front of the car, right? The experience or the situation by which another person takes a courtesy, right? And something that you do to reciprocate courtesy, and tries to energetically weaponize it against you in the space by which, right? And this is often what happens when we're in trauma environments, because trauma environments literally are predicated upon the idea that no good deed goes unpunished, right? It's the space by which others build into miscommunication, or they build into the space by which another person literally makes us feel bad for having been energetically kind. And it's hard, right? Because this is why you've got a lot of energetically compassionate people, right, navigating trauma environments that often make them feel bad, right? Because they would desire to be more compassionate, but they have to be energetically protective all the time. And this is why we see you chasing after that guide, right? Because the guide was showing you, right? The guide was energetically showing you and revealing the nature of that wound. And we can see the fact that you're not scared of that person. And that's how we know it's a guide, because like, who chases after someone that's carrying a very large, like a very large weapon? So then we see, where does the guide take you, right? And here's the thing you have to understand, because I want to point this out. What did we remember? What did the guide show you in the first part of the dream? When we love each other, we try to show each other beautiful things, right? So what do we see the guide doing? The guide's showing you all of these things in the context of doing things, right? So first, they're showing you that you shouldn't be hard on yourself with the fact that you are somewhat guarded because you've had experiences where others have weaponized your kindness against you. And that is why they took you to, right? They motioned to you, they took you to the antique shop, right? Because you said you stopped to rest at a bar in the middle of nowhere, almost like a desert, and then they showed up again, right? And they started and you started throwing things at them, okay? Trying to get them to give it back to you. But they dodged everything you threw, right? Because and this is what happens, and this is the hard part about it, because there's the guide is showing you the nature of what happens when you recognize another person's tendency to weaponize kindness. You can't win, right? Because when another person has a tendency of weaponizing kindness, then anything you do, right, they'll find a reason to be offended by, right? That's why everything you tried to throw at them, even in the context by which they had overstepped, was them basically like bobbing and weaving, because they're showing you the tendency of what energetically occurs when another person, like when another when, like and here's the thing about it, right? This is basically what the guide's trying to show you. Like when you see the tendency of another person to weaponize the things you give them, you shouldn't stop giving them things. You should stop giving them things. Stop giving them more things, right? Like that's what the guide's showing you. And that's why the guide is like just sitting there. You're throwing stuff at them and they're like, do, 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 right? They dodged everything and they started running again. And you said another man there said, right? And what happened? You said another guy was there because they were chasing after them too, because they had taken something from them too, or at least that's what you assumed. Okay. The other man had a machete and you had a small pocket knife to defend yourself. So as you were looking, right, as you were looking for them, and I want to point this out. I think this is okay. So we'll get to that in a minute. So as you were looking for them, you said you stopped at what looked like an antique shop. So now you're not alone in the journey of healing, right? And I would not be surprised if you articulate to me that you and your counterpart came together at a time by which you were experiencing a wound of someone having weaponized your kindness against you. You and your counterpart having found yourselves in a space by which you were both actively recovering from a space by which another person was trying to weaponize your kindness against you, in the space by which you yourself were too kind to articulate what they were doing to you, but trying to take anything you tried to do out of kindness and frame it as something energetically negative. You then saw that when you reached that location, you found an antique shop, right? And the antique shop that you discovered, you said within it, you found, right? You found a beautiful antique lamp. And this is beautiful because the guides are effectively showing you the profound work that happens when we are on a healing journey, because there we all are, having experienced atrocities at each other's hands, situations or circumstances where others have not held our kindness respectively, but tried to become energetically demanding upon us, related to it. And then when we effectively try to articulate our standards, right, you tapping on the glass and saying, please stop, then they effectively weaponize anything kind we've done to them because we're not giving them more energetic access. So your ability to identify that you and them having experienced that together is the identification point of you potentially finding each other's light, which is why we saw the fact that you were then saw before you an energetic lamp. And you identified that on the lamp were three stones. You said that there was a stone, a citrine, a sunstone, and a carnelian. Now, these three stones are important because citrines, and sunstones are energetic, that each stone has a very important connection attached to it. Citrines are effectively clarifiers, right? It's the clarity of communication that often is predictive or found with the citrine. So when we carry citrines, it can sometimes help us be able to be understood or spoken more clearly. Sunstones help us in relationality to our mood. It can often be it's a mood enhancer in the space by which we're able to bring hope to things. And carnelian is a stone of passion. So the modality by which you found your counterpart on the journey of healing and the space, and this is why you are effectively healing, because the understanding that you are not the only one going through that created unity between you, because you understood the space. It didn't, even in the space by which you experienced that, saying that happened to me too, right? That space, the minute we find community and unity, we feel like we found relationship. So this is what allowed you to be able to find the antique shop, because you found something energetically precious on that journey. And the lamp is symbolic of the love that you have between you, that potentially is prioritizing healthy communication, healthy encouragement, and deep passion. You identified that the two stones on the side were round and carved with a figure that looked like a wizard, a figure similar to Merlin with a long beard. And those seemed to be the carnelian and the sunstone. And the other one on the other side was the identification point of Christ. So this is the identification point between the Merlin being the magician card of the tarot, which is the work by which we effectively apply our effort to be able to become the things that we aspire to become, the work that we effectively set ourselves to, that isn't easy, right? But the understanding of being able to identify and recognize the force of effort that we put in our own experience. While the journey between that with the energy of Christ talks about the ability to energetically absorb things, but not be energetically reactive to them. So we see here the energetic harmony that you and them potentially have as it relates to taking, right? Taking energetic approaches to things outside of the self from a state of healthy intention and purity that is identified with the figure of the magician combined with the sunstone and the citrine, the healthy intention that allows to a deeper sense. When we have the most healthy intention, which is the perfection of the self, which is identified by the figure of the Christ that you saw, then it allows us to effectively become each other's light, right? Because it's the work that we do that identifies what is energetically important. It's not the space by which we do things because we have to, or because we can, but because we know that it is the right thing to do. So the ability of potentially finding someone who holds that same sense of standard that allows you to feel a deep sense of connection to them. You said you felt very tempted to take it. It'd be very ironic that you take it because it's yours. Okay, it's yours. It's effectively your relationship symbolized by the lamp. So it's like, it's funny that you're like, I was tempted to take it, but again, you didn't, because you said your attention shifted, right? But you wouldn't take it because, again, that's the quality and condition of it, right? I bet you said that you wouldn't take it in the dream space because I bet you said to yourself, it's not mine to take, but it's yours by birth. By it's not yours to take because it's yours by energetic, by it's being shown to you by the guide. But in the space by which you would take it, it wouldn't be there, right? That's what's so beautiful about it. And so you said then your attention shifted to something right beside it that looked like wrapping paper, and you described the fact that it was covered with gold hieroglyphics. And it's interesting because I want to point out, um, you know, there's I've got my own ideas in relationality to what that can indicate. I feel like I'm going to reserve that I feel like I'm going to reserve that for outside the reading because technically I don't read for that. So the modality or the experience by which there's potentially a personal message connected to that is something that I would relate outside of this reading. Bottom of the deck, yeah, the two of swords in its reversal, because the two of swords in its reversal is often working into, and I want to point this out, okay? What happened? What happened between what happened? What happened? What happened to your weapon? See what happened? There, like, this is often what happens in the journey of healing, right? the space by which you potentially, like the space by which you potentially felt, right? You moved away from something trying to get a weapon back. And what did you find instead? A light, right? The journey by which you potentially moved through your healing journey, trying to find empowerment, but then all like the journey that transforms into the space by which the work that you did to protect yourself and to move towards the accordance of it, that then became, right, then became its own energetic light. So it's the observation that this is often what we do when we're on a healing journey, right? We start on it trying to get something back, and then we often find something so much more magnificent than we ever anticipated, because that is the joy of having a healthy manifestation goal, right? It's the understanding and the opening of the possibility beyond what we even could have possibly conceived. Thank you so much for having that reading with me. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings. The list is closed, but if you'd like to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll have priority, which means you'll be read for it before we start the daily collective. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. You're so welcome, Avana. Okay. Just bear with me. You're so welcome, Nikki. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah, the last part, chef's kiss. Absolutely. Mm. The list is closed today, Ruby. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just reading over your comments, Avana. I'm just tired of people being defensive and me having to be careful as well. I understand. Oh my God, that's wild, Nikki. Mr. Frog, I'm always willing to take like receive questions in relation to anything here. But if you want cards pulled, that would require a donation to be added to the list. Yeah, so you were running around in chaos and then decided to go shopping, and you scream, "Look, squirrel!" I love that so much. Absolutely, interpretation. Yeah, it's giving Aladdin. Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I wake up asking the same. What happened? You're so welcome, dear. All right, let's continue right now. The next person on the list for today, is Nicole. Nicole, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. Hi, dear. Oh, you have a beautiful day, Avana. Okay. And while we wait for Nicole's question, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide cards here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the hair. We'll do that again after the next reading. Okay. And just for anyone who is anyone's here who is waiting for their 1-card readings, we will be starting the 1-card readings for superfans and paid members over on the place where we keep the videos once we complete this reading. I mean, I need to stress this. Yeshua never said that you needed Yeshua. Like, Yeshua was trying to preach about love and kindness to others. So, Neo, I want to point that out here. It's very interesting because if you the space by which Yeshua spoke was never Yeshua never asked you to worship Yeshua. Yeshua asked you to love one another. So you're welcome to stay here and receive these messages if you'd like. All right, let's continue right now. All right, the next person we're reading for today, I got you, Nicole. Well, first of all, I don't want you to say that your life is a mess right now. All right, we're not going to talk like that. Outside tea, highest priority, absolutely. Okay. Can I get all right, 3 cards, please? So the one thing I see, it's interesting too because it's coming through as a guide reading, and the guide that's coming through feels like it's an angelic. And the thing about it is it's almost like what the angelic is articulating is when somebody shows you who they are, and again, I do not claim this statement, but it's like when somebody shows you who they are, it requires us to believe them, right? And it's painful, right? Because it puts us in a very painful space, because you have to, and I keep on hearing like the guide articulating, you are not wrong. You are not wrong in giving another person a chance to do better. If you are perpetually giving another person the opportunity to do better, that is you. Literally, that is the sound of you perpetually blessing a messy situation, is what I keep on getting. And I feel like there's something about that. I feel like there's something about that's really important, because and it's interesting too, because the message I keep on getting from the guide, and it's interesting because here's the thing about it, and I don't typically I don't typically hear guides articulate this, but they're saying wait. And the reason that they're articulating the word wait, and it's interesting too because um like for me, like especially when I'm reading, the word wait is very loaded, But the thing about it is, I feel like this guide works works in correlation with time, right? Because and this is all I keep on seeing that they're trying to articulate. Um, the space by which, and I just keep on being presented. Yeah, it's perfect. The thing I keep on seeing is like I keep on seeing the opportunity by which you're opening up the possibility to another and saying like this could be the moment by which you change everything, right? Like this, here you go, here's the moment, right? When another person, right, like it doesn't require you to harden your heart in the space by which you keep on trying to bless a person for them to be their best version of self. And the reason I keep on hearing wait is because the best way I can, and it's like, this is often why it's an angelic message. Good energy, good energy shows, um, good energy, good energy shows itself over time, right? Good energy shows itself over time, which is it's the observation, right? It's the observation that that is you working consistently towards the betterment of things, right? And that is not, right, like the state or nature by which you keep offering another person an opportunity, right? Like you giving another person an opportunity to be their best self. That is the most commendable, like commendable space you can do. But it also says you need backup, right? Which is having to work through situations by which, and I can see this because it's showing me like this is the energy I see that you're navigating, right? Like somebody who I just keep on hearing unaware, unaware, like unaware doesn't care, right? Unaware doesn't care. There's unaware doesn't care. Unaware doesn't care. Unaware doesn't care. Unaware doesn't care that delights. Like unaware doesn't care. Like often delights in the space by which um in the space by which they see others energetically stressed out is what I keep on getting. Right, but and this is what I keep on, like the observation of understanding that the state or nature by which we identify and refine to each other. I just keep on seeing you almost communicating to another person that um that observational force is not something, like the thing about it is like I keep on hearing it's like when somebody's being cruel to you, right? There's somebody trying to be cruel to you, and there's everyone around, right? There's everything around the the cruelty, right? And the thing about it is like I just keep on seeing like I keep on hearing the thing about, and it's interesting because they're not saying cruelty, they're saying cruel tree, right? And the reason I keep on hearing it is because the guide's articulating and saying it's the cruel tree that grants wisdom. Because there's the person, right? There's somebody who feels like they're getting over on someone. Like there's somebody who potentially feels happy seeing another person like stressed or in pain, and there before them that they can't see are eyes that observe. I keep hearing are eyes that observe the delight, right? Like there are the eyes that observe the delight. And I keep on hearing when somebody sees delight like that, there's nothing one can do to set it right. Right? When somebody sees the delight like that, there's nothing one can do to set it right because that's another person observing the full extent of another individual's spite, is what I keep on hearing. And I think it's really interesting because, and it's interesting because you've got a very old guide around you, and every time I read for you, like a lot of like there's a lot of these there's a lot of these messages that come through. But the message I keep on getting related to it is I just keep on hearing this like reaffirmation of the fact that you're not alone, that this is the hardest part, and that it's not going to be like, it's not going to be this way forever. And this bit, but it, like, I almost feel like to a certain extent, like I keep on getting like it's giving me the type of observation of you, like like it's giving me a lot of like it's giving me a lot of porcupine energy is the word that's coming through. Yeah, because it's like it's somebody saying, like, it's almost somebody saying to you like, oh, like why are you being so prickly? And you having to say, I'm prickly because I have cause to be, you know? Like, that's the thing about it. Like, you having to say to someone, you're prickly because you have cause to be. Um, and I keep on getting, because I keep on getting a message too, that somebody, like somebody who cares about you, is going to understand that you don't. I keep wondering, somebody that cares about you is going to understand that you don't prickle easily. But here's the thing about it. You think you're prickly because someone was constantly trying to get you in a state by which I keep on hearing, like somebody like someone who like tries to get you in a perpetually stressed state, and then says like, oh, you dear thing, like I almost see like when you try to constantly stress someone out, it allows another person to be profoundly patronizing, right? Like there's somebody like perpetually stressed out, and there's someone beside them like perpetually patronizing, because it's the space by which another person says like, are you okay, until they realize the fact that they're the reason one is not. So I keep on hearing like, just allow that to inform you. And I keep on seeing like you continue to I keep on continue to present another person opportunities to surprise you, but like also have a plan in place if they continue if they continue to disappoint you, is what I keep on hearing. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings. The list is closed today. We are going to get started on one card readings for super fans and for paid members over on the place where we keep the videos. But I am going to take a moment first to read over some of the comments that came through as it was reading. Mm-hmm. Oh, you didn't fail. I don't like this. It's not a failing situation, Nikki. Mask thinning a little. And Deborah, thank you for the follow. That's so weird that you said that. I moved. Oh, you did not. Are you kidding? Oh, that's so weird that I said that you moved a porcupine off the road last night. I couldn't get close to it, but I made sure he got off the road so the line of cards could pass. Thank you for confirmation on what I was reading. All right, well, let that's wild that we keep on having those confirmation moments with you. Like let this be affirmation that you are not alone right now, Nicole. Like, let that be affirmation. How you doing today, Yaz? Yeah, they're not allowed near you talking, but I have to parallel, so I'm stuck there. Sending you so much support, dear. Okay. Oh, Ruby, my dear. Ugh. One card, please. I feel like I see some kind of situation or like I feel like I see some kind of circumstance or situation that's changing in some kind of way, but yeah, the devil card in its reversal. I feel like something is changing in a way by which like I don't know if there was a conversation that is being had as it relates to like it's giving me like I feel like there's something about you being in a space where there's healing occurring is what I keep on getting. Um Animal spirit guide. Yeah, a healing space is I keep on hearing a healing space is a space that is compassionate about your situation, like about the circumstance or the plans that you have. Not the space, I keep on hearing not the space by which having plans concerns another person. I just keep on hearing the same message. A healthy environment is supportive of our plans. They don't take our plans, us having plans, as a point of concern. Alexandra, I'm sending you so much support on that journey. One card on love, please. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. So I feel like there's something important there about you bringing some kind of bigger idea into something or helping somebody see the bigger picture. Yeah, the Fool card in its reversal. Um, I feel like you're I don't know. I know you might not feel like this, but I feel like your energy is profoundly transforming some kind of circumstance or situation, but it almost feels like also like somebody's in their feelings about it. Like someone being in their feelings about a conversation that someone's having in relationality to some kind of enhancement related to you. Hi there, Yaz. I'm Ruby. I'm sending you so much support. Yeah, I did. I got out of my car and everything. I haven't seen one in years. Let that serve as confirmation to this reading, dear. Okay, so in relationality to timing, I need to point out when we're reading for tarot, time time can sometimes be a little bit more difficult because it's often like one thing then the next. Can I get a card, please, though, for a sense of timing and relationality to when things should shift? I feel like any day now. I know it doesn't feel like this, but I do. I know it doesn't feel like it, but it feels like conclusion around something is imminent. Yeah, that's why I feel like that's why someone is being like, I feel like that's why someone potentially is being or acting extra ruthless, is what I keep on getting. Yeah, especially with the seal energy. I feel like it's communicating in some way. Um, like the observation of being able to identify or recognize. Like I keep on like it says like I keep on hearing the damage is done is what I keep on getting. And the thing about it is like you're not the one that's done damage here is what I keep on seeing. Right? So I feel like don't it says to me like observe, don't absorb. Like don't let another person's audacity sway you. Let it just reaffirm the direction that you're moving towards is what I keep on seeing. Mhm. Yeah, as one card on reconciliation energy between you and them. I mean, it feels to me like I feel like you had a mic drop moment with someone. You know, if you told them what was up and their answer was silence, that's because they can't face the truth. Yeah, animal spirit guide. You know, I especially, I don't know why, were you and them having a conversation about something that they weren't completely honest with you about? Because it feels to me like I keep on, like, the hard part about it is like I feel like all someone needs to do is give you a you were right about something, you know? Mm-hmm. No, it's okay, Rubies. So what I saw there, I had the four. It's also available. It's available over on the place where you keep the videos if you want to catch it. You got the four of Pentacles in its reversal with the Devil card bottom of the deck, which is saying to me, and that's what I meant about like the space by which you articulated that you felt betrayed. A healthy place does not feel the fact that we have plans concerning. It's like a healthy place should be delighted to find out that we have plans, not the fact that we articulate. Like it says to me, like I almost feel like someone being like, I heard you got a bad case of the plans, right? Like somebody who sees plans as as anathema. A healthy location or space supports the plans we have, especially if they're building towards our betterment. And I believe the card, the animal spirit card you got was the salmon in its reversal. I was expecting a communication by now that would offer some kind of breakthrough, but nothing. Sending you support on that journey, dear. All right, my friends, final call right now for anybody who is a super fan or a paid member who has not had a card pulled today. I also want to remind you guys that in about an hour, we're going to get started on our next tarot class. We're going to be focusing our studies. I got you, Avatar. One card for Avatar, highest, please. Yeah, I keep on getting somebody's in like deep awakening central. I don't know if you felt some kind of shift here. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, especially with the Ace of Pentacles. What's your dream? Make sure that you're writing your dreams down right now, is what I'm getting. Animal spirit. Yeah, especially with the bear. I just keep on like somebody. I feel like I think that this is for the best because I don't think you and this individual would have been on the same page until they had that. Like, I feel like, like I literally see somebody that's gonna be saying to you, like, if you'd met me like a few months ago, I was a completely different person. Hi there, Rahul Sori. These are donation based. We're doing free one cards right now for those who are paid members. So if you'd like to become a paid member, I'm happy to draw a card for you. Um, Absolutely. Laurel, I got you, dear. Next couple of days. It's interesting. I feel like I see you hunkering down and getting something done. Yeah, it's like a band-aid rip moment. You know, I feel like you're building something up that's actually not going to take that long at all. Like you got to have a hard part first kind of day. You're going to feel a lot better for it. 810. One card of the message you sent this morning. What to expect. I mean, it feels like somebody appreciating your clarity is what I keep on getting. Yeah, especially as it relates, like it feels to me like I almost feel like somebody that's trying to articulate that something that something that they feel delayed on, that they're not the one making the determination on it. You know, like it feels like somebody who's waiting for somebody else kind of thing, you know? Um like there's a little bit of that type of energy there. So I feel like I almost see somebody who like I feel like it's somebody who empathizes with you in a way that like you I keep on hearing somebody say like you have no idea how I also empathize with you about it, is what I keep on getting. Hi there, Rainbow. One card. Um I feel like I see you working in some way to carve out some kind of space for yourself to do something is what I keep on getting. Yeah, I keep on hearing, think about sacred space, right? I keep on hearing too, time is also a sacred space. So if you're trying to create a sacred space for yourself, see if you can focus it on a particular time, because I feel like you kind of like carving out some time to do something each day is going to allow for some kind of sublime transformation to occur. I'm sending you so much support on that journey, Ruby. And thank you guys. Thank you for letting us know so we can support you through it as well. Absolutely. And Velvet, thank you for the follow. Ruby, you have access do you have access to the disco? No problem, dear. One card, highest priority for Bridget, please. I feel like I see you taking something more seriously. In a good way. Yeah, in like a spiritual way. You know? Like I feel like this is you kind of um I feel like there's something you're doing right now that is allowing you to create the life that you want, but I keep on getting there's something important about that as well. Yeah, especially with the blank. Like I feel like I see you kind of like simplifying something or recognizing like what you like I just keep on seeing, like I just feel like I see a lot of this energy kind of moving away from you to the in a certain way, but in a good way. You know, like it feels like you spreading something in a positive way or giving something, you know, or taking some kind of calm approach to something that you would typically let yourself get wound up upon. Oh, you're trying to take your relaxation more seriously. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Tiff, you're welcome. We're gonna be talking about that a lot tonight in tonight's class. Tiff, one card, please. Make sure that you're selling yourself. Put your best foot forward. What are you doing? Why are you underselling yourself on something? Yeah, if you can't talk about yourself, ask somebody, be like, go to somebody, be like, how would you describe me? Yeah, if you've got a case of the cringe where you don't like talking about yourself, go grab a friend. Go grab a friend, say like, listen, how would you how would you like if you had to introduce me to someone, you know, like let that kind of help you in terms of like what you're trying to do. You know, like you don't have to do it yourself. Get feedback on it is what I keep on seeing. You're so welcome, Bridget. All right, my friends. I might not. No, absolutely. Wonderful. Again, if you can't, so just a reminder to those who, if you can't make the class tonight, it's totally okay. The class is going to be beginning at 5:30 p.m. PST, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the court cards in the Pentacle suit. If you can't, if you can still have time to enroll and sign up if you would like to make the class tonight. I'm going to be sending out the invite shortly. And if you cannot make the class tonight, you can still sign up, because if you can't make the class live, it will be available to you first thing tomorrow morning. If you become a paid subscriber, a paid monthly subscriber to my stack, that is your ticket into our class this evening. A paid monthly subscription grants you access to tonight's class, as well as 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Archive. You don't have to catch up for tonight. I'm going to give you a recap on everything we've studied to the best of my abilities to understand the context by which we're studying the current cards, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you'll also have access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Class Archive, as well as the opportunity of receiving a complimentary mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I try to do with these classes is make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely going to be something for you tonight, regardless of your own skill level. It'll be available to everybody. And as I mentioned, if you can't make it this evening, totally okay. You'll still have that recording first thing tomorrow. And if you would like a discount on tonight's class, just message me directly and write the word class in the message, and I will send you a unique coupon code for this evening's class. And if you are a super fan or a paid member who has not accessed the disco channel yet, send me a disco gift and I will send you an invite to the disco channel. Absolutely. Final call right now for anybody who has not had their one card, who would like to have a one card tonight. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and sharing in these messages. We will be back on tomorrow. Yaz, I apologize. I will be back on tomorrow later in the evening. So I'm going to say potentially around, I'm probably estimating probably around 7 p.m. So we're going to be doing a later live tomorrow, but I've got you listed and you will have priority. So you'll be the first person read for. Thank you so much, dear. You'll also have an extra card in your reading. One card regarding connection. I feel like I see you I feel like I see you getting more focused in relationality to the nature of a connection that you're hoping to create or to have with another. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, specifically and particularly with the death card. You know, the one thing you want to be conscientious about, like making sure, I keep wondering, making sure that you're building a connection with someone that wants what you want at the same time period, right? Like there are some individuals who literally will put off energetic union until until they feel that they've exhausted themselves. But often I keep on hearing, especially with the animal spirit guide card, yeah, you're not a retirement home. You're not a retirement home for old energy. The energy that's in connection for you wants the present you, right? They're not in the space by which it's not the space by which they're not looking for the space by which they wait until like the maturation process should be one. Energy that's matured does not build into the space by which they say I'll have a divine union when I'm older, right? It's the space by which we know what we want and we move towards it with a sense of clarity and honesty. Thank you so much. And thank you, King, for the follow. All right, my friends, I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. Huge thank you to my followers, old and new. Thank you for being here and receiving these messages. Huge thank you to my subscribers. Your ongoing support means the absolute world to me. And the biggest thank you to my mod, K Megan, wherever you may be. I hope to see many of you this evening. Well, as I mentioned, we'll be starting our class in about an hour. And you should be receiving, if you are already a subscriber to the stack, I will be sending that meeting invite out imminently. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. Huge thank you to my followers, old and new. Thank you for being here and receiving these messages. Huge thank you to my subscribers. Your ongoing support means the absolute world to me. And the biggest thank you to my I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful evening. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of one another. And we will do this again tomorrow. Have a great evening, everyone. And I'll talk to you in about an hour.